When Bruce Catton found 3 letters that had been lost for 90 years in the Washington archives, he discovered something that completely changed our understanding of Ulysses S. Grant. It wasn't the victories that made Grant unstoppable. It was 3 specific decisions he made in moments of complete despair. And the most shocking part? Each of these decisions seemed like military suicide at the time. In the next few minutes, you'll discover exactly what these 3 decisions were, when Grant made them, and why they proved he had developed something no other American general possessed before. The first decision happened in 17 minutes that changed the Civil War forever. Everyone thinks Grant won because he had more soldiers, more resources, more time. Catton proved that this is completely false. Grant won because in 3 critical moments, when any other general would have retreated, he did the exact opposite. And the evidence was hidden in documents that military officials considered irrelevant for almost a century. The first of these decisions occurred at 5:43 p.m. on May 6, 1864, at the Battle of the Wilderness. The center of Grant's lines had completely collapsed. His men were in a desperate retreat. It was the perfect moment to do what McClellan, Hooker, and all the others did when they faced Lee. But at 5:45 p.m., Grant gave an order that his own officers thought was military suicide. An order that Catton took 30 years to find recorded. And when you discover what that order was, you'll understand why Lee wrote 3 days later, "This Grant is different from all the others." The first decision that proved Grant was unstoppable was about to happen. May 6, 1864. Wilderness, Virginia. Grant was facing his first real test against Robert E. Lee. The battle had turned into a nightmare. The dense forest made it impossible for anyone to see the enemy. Fire spread among the trees. Soldiers burned alive while others mistakenly shot at their own comrades. At 5:43 p.m., what every Union general feared happened. The center of Grant's lines completely collapsed. It wasn't an organized retreat. It was total panic. Soldiers ran in every direction. It was exactly what had happened to McClellan at Antietam, to Hooker at Chancellorsville. It was here that Catton made his most disturbing discovery. He found the official report written by Colonel Theodore Lyman. At 5:43 p.m., central lines collapsed. General retreat in progress. Critical situation. Every Union general had faced this moment. All of them had done the same thing, ordered a general retreat. But at 5:45 p.m., just 2 minutes later, Grant made the first decision that proved he was different from all the others. Instead of ordering a retreat, he gave an order that left his officers in total shock. General, advance all along the line. Immediately, his own generals thought he had gone insane. What happened in the next 17 minutes defied all known military logic. But Grant's second decision would be even more shocking. And it happened at a time when he was completely surrounded. After the Wilderness, something extraordinary happened. For the first time in the war, a Union general did not retreat after facing Lee. The soldiers couldn't believe it. One wrote in his diary, "Grant doesn't know the word retreat." Another noted, "Finally we have a general who fights." But the real test came 6 days later, at Spottsylvania Courthouse. May 12, 1864. Grant had planned a massive attack against heavily entrenched Confederate lines. The attack began at 4:35 a.m. For 4 hours, Union troops were slaughtered trying to break through Lee's defenses. By 8:47 a.m., the attack had become a complete disaster. Grant had lost 7,000 men in just 4 hours. His troops were shattered. His generals demanded an immediate retreat. It was the perfect moment to pull back, regroup, and try a different strategy. It was here that Catton found the second lost letter. Written by General Meade at 9:15 a.m., situation untenable. Catastrophic losses. Recommend immediate retreat. Grant's response arrived 8 minutes later. Just 3 words that changed the war forever. These 3 words proved that Grant had developed something that transcended normal military strategy. But the third decision would be the most impossible of all. And it happened when Grant was literally on the ropes. Grant's response to Meade was just 3 words: attack again. Immediately. His own officers were horrified. Attack again? After 7,000 casualties in 4 hours? But Grant didn't just maintain the attack, he intensified it. What Grant had understood was something revolutionary. He wasn't just fighting Lee's army, he was fighting the psychology of defeat that had dominated the Union for 3 years. Every time he retreated, he proved to his men that Lee was invincible. But the final proof came a month later. Cold Harbor, June 3, 1864. Grant ordered a frontal assault against fortified positions. The result was the greatest disaster of his career, 7,000 casualties in 20 minutes. His own soldiers refused to attack again. Lincoln was under extreme political pressure. Newspapers called for Grant's dismissal. The Butcher, they called him. It was the most dangerous moment of Grant's career. Any other general would have resigned or been fired. But on June 15, Grant made the third and most impossible decision of his career. A decision so audacious that even Lee couldn't comprehend what was happening. And this decision definitively proved that Grant had become something no American general had been before. On June 15, 1864, after the Cold Harbor disaster, Grant did something that defied all military logic. Instead of attacking Lee frontally again, he disappeared. Literally. He moved his entire army of 100,000 men across the James River without Lee knowing. Catton discovered that this wasn't just a tactical maneuver. It was proof that Grant had developed something that transcended normal military strategy: the ability to turn failure into a psychological advantage. Each defeat had taught Lee to underestimate him. When Lee finally discovered where Grant was, it was too late. Grant had surrounded Petersburg, the lifeline to Richmond. For the first time in the war, Lee was on the total defensive. The hunter had become the hunted. It was here that Catton had his greatest epiphany. Grant's three decisions weren't about military tactics, they were about the psychology of total war. Grant had discovered that in war, perception is more powerful than reality. If you act as if you're unstoppable, you become unstoppable. But the most devastating proof of Grant's genius was yet to come. What happened at Appomattox wasn't just the end of the war, it was the final demonstration of something that forever changed our understanding of leadership under extreme pressure. April 1865. Lee was surrounded, without supplies, without hope. Any normal general would have humiliated the defeated enemy. Grant did the exact opposite. He allowed the Confederate soldiers to keep their personal weapons, their horses, their dignity. Catton realized that this was the final proof. Grant wasn't just unstoppable in war, he had become unstoppable as a leader. His three decisions had proven something fundamental: true leaders are not those who never fail, they are those who turn the moment of failure into the moment of definition. Years later, when asked about his secret, Grant said something that Catton took decades to fully comprehend. Something that explains not only how he won the Civil War, but how anyone can become unstoppable. It was here that Bruce Catton had his greatest revelation. He realized he had spent 30 years studying the great battles, the great victories. But the real Grant was hidden in 3 moments of apparent failure that everyone considered minor details. Catton discovered that Grant had developed something that transcended military ability: the capacity to rewrite the rules of what's possible through an absolute refusal to accept limits. Each of his 3 impossible decisions had created a new reality. As Catton wrote in his memoirs, Grant taught me that the difference between ordinary leaders and transformational leaders is not in moments of success, it's in the ability to turn a moment of total collapse into a moment of complete redefinition. As Bruce Catton always said, some discoveries change how we see the past. Others change how we live the present. Grant's 3 decisions proved that being unstoppable isn't about never falling, it's about turning every fall into a springboard for something impossible. And speaking of discoveries that change everything, there's another military secret that Catton uncovered, even more shocking than Grant's decisions. Something that explains how a single man managed to break a code that had resisted for 2,000 years of warfare. The video that's about to appear will show you the most impossible discovery of Bruce Catton's career. If Grant's 3 decisions impressed you as much as they impressed millions around the world, you need to discover what happens next. Click on the next video now and get ready to have your mind blown once more.